at 3 o'clock in the morning. Rose in bed to keep you smiling. Now we hate our dreams to be in Paris, but to go Nairobi to pambane na yo hali. Hey, and good morning to you. My fabulous name is Orawo. This is another episode of the In All Honesty podcast, set up quite different. For those who saw the poster, this show was supposed to start on the 6th, which was last Monday. But let me tell you, things happen. And here we are. It's so early in the morning. I can see someone from Nigeria. Hey, great. That means at your place it's 7. Wow. The intention was to have this on your commute. So this should happen on Mondays at 6 a.m. And then the episodes, of course, will be saved for you to get them on YouTube. So how are you doing this morning? We're starting off the morning with Nasibi, a new artist. We're getting our music from Spotify. And of course, all the equipment that we have comes from Shuffle PCs. And I just want to know how you're doing. I love you. Hi, Saad. I love you too. I look like your best friend. Oh, wow. I get that I look like people a lot. But anyway, this is another episode of the In All Honesty podcast. This is season 5. And the topic we want to start with today is really wild because I want to talk about death. Do we think about our death? Because here's the thing. This is what brought this to mind for me when I was in the house during New Year's. I was in the house and I was just chilling. I was watching a movie because I rarely sleep before 12. So I was just watching a movie. And then I saw the fireworks go off. So I was like, oh, it's already 12. So then I went to check out the fireworks. And while I was standing by the window and just looking at the fireworks, I thought to myself, the only thing that came to mind at that point for me was, wow, my parents get to see another year. And that just brought all the thoughts that I've always had around how blessed I am to have my parents to have my parents at the age that they are. I think my dad is hitting 73 this year, if I'm not wrong. And my mom is in her 63rd. They're about 10 years apart, I think. Yeah, so 63 and 73. That's huge. So while I was just thinking, I was like, oh my goodness, my parents get to see 2025 because also we've seen a lot of things that are just happening around. And not many people are able to see their loved ones into the next year or usher the new year with their loved ones. Gosh. But yeah, that was the idea I had in mind. And I was just thinking about death now. Generally, I was like, okay, guys, let's talk about, do people think about their death? Do you personally think about your death? Because some conversations I've had with my dad, there's this time I told him, it must be really nice to be retired. Because now you just sleep and you eat your pension. Like you don't have to worry about waking up and going to work. And he told me, Olive, in this age where we're at, you don't sleep. You don't sleep at night. You hear everything. So the birds that, if there's an owl, you'll hear it at night. If people are fighting outside, you'll hear it at night. Even the slightest things, like if something moves in the grass, you'll hear it at night. And I was just wondering, okay, that's interesting because for me, I thought the older you get, the less worries you have in your head. And therefore, you sleep better at night. So that was my thinking. But apparently that's not the issue. That's not the case. And also the other thing that another conversation that he's had a lot, or rather he says when we were celebrating his 70th birthday, he was like, now I'm living on borrowed time. Not a lot of my friends have gotten to this age. And also the way sometimes I remember there's also a time when he received the news of someone having died. And I know my sisters and I were all shocked. We looked at each other and we were like, kwani daddy death does not stir him. And he answered the call and had the news. And then he was just like, okay, pole sana. And then he hung up and started calling other people. Oh, so you've heard Nani has died, or we need to do this and that, or arrangement committee, da. And my sisters and I were utterly shocked. Like, you're not taken aback by the news of death. And for him, he said, at my age, like every other day you start, it gets to a point, it's not at his age, but it started at a particular age where you get to a particular point, you start burying your friends. So it becomes a daily occurrence. The same way someone could call you today and tell you, oh, I went to Java for breakfast. It's the same way at a particular age, you can just be called and be told, oh, Nani has died. And for you at that age now, it's normal. It's not like it's news now. Now you just get on to the next thing, like how do we organize for this burial? And I thought about it a lot and I was just like, wow, are we still in the space where talking about death is taboo, that we're not going to talk about our death at all? And also for us young people, do you sort of have I don't know what to call it, but like a death wish? Because I have a friend who says she'd really like to be cremated, and actually she set aside money for her burial so that people don't have to people don't have to go through the hassle of when she dies, but it's not the anticipation for death. It's not like I'm saying I'm going to die. It's just that I would like for my body to be treated this way when I die. Is that something that you people think about in your young age? Let me talk to young people. Let me talk to young people. And even as I was talking about my dad saying that it's normal at some point to start burying your friends and it's just a normal occurrence, it's just another day. For us as a millennial who's now 33, I feel like that for us has happened at a younger age. I feel like at my age already, having buried the number of people that I've buried already at my age, I feel like that number has come down. Is it just me? Let me just read this before I lose it. I think of how people will live after I die. Will life be different without me? That is quite interesting. That is quite interesting because I actually thought for a very long time, I used to think when I was in my depressive episode before I started working on myself, I used to feel like if I died, nothing would change. I really did feel valueless. I felt like no one really cares for me being here. So I used to feel like even those times I was more suicidal. I was not more suicidal. I'm not suicidal anymore. Hallelujah. Oh, thank the Lord. I have done a lot of self work. But I was very suicidal and I used to feel like if I left, nothing would change. You know, people would cry that she was our sister, she was our daughter. But after that, and then what? That's a very interesting thing. But I don't, I used to think about it then. Right now, I don't think about it a lot. But right now, I feel like I know that my death would bring an impact to some people. Like right now, I feel loved, I feel appreciated, I feel cared for by the people in my life. So right now, I feel like maybe they'll feel the emptiness. And also being that right now, I have probably had to bury people who I knew personally and some I didn't even know very closely. Like, let's say you once worked with someone and then they died and then you went to the burial. And then there are times in your life when something will trigger a memory of them and then you remember, oh, wow, Nani doesn't exist anymore. So I really wonder, yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Mora.kemunto says, would love to donate my organs, but to, I don't know if you've continued it. You'd love to donate your organs. That's for me as well. So for me, I have very good genes. So generally, what I tell people is our family, generally, we have very good genes. First, we're very athletic. Second, have you seen my hair? Have you seen my hair? I don't know if you can donate hair, but anyway, we're very athletic. So we have very healthy organs. We have, I'm not an alcoholic, so my liver should be fine. My heart should be fine, and I really train well. My lungs should be fine. I generally do not fall sick. So I would really love for if my parts of my body could be used, that would be really, really cool. I think that's really cool, yes. For Kemunto. And Miss Ngendo says, yes, I have discussed this topic with that's your boyfriend. So at least to know each other's wishes. My worry is that I will not leave enough for my family. Oh, yeah, I get that. I really do get that. But the fact that you're discussing this with your boyfriend is really interesting. I find that quite interesting. Like, so you know each other's wishes in case one of you dies, then the other person knows how to fulfill their dying wish. That's very beautiful. And I also like what are the dynamics for that? Because we know the politics for family and partners, eh? So I don't know, but yes, that's very interesting. And I like that you've discussed it with someone, but also the fear that you won't have someone who you won't have enough that you'd have left for your family. I feel you, and I feel you so hard. Because for me right now, I feel like a lot of what I'm working towards is because my beneficiaries, are they called beneficiaries? Yeah, the beneficiaries of the things you're working for. Since I'm child free, I really am caring for my nibblings. So my nephews and my nieces, I really want to set them up. I really want them to have backup apart from their parents. Of course, their parents are also really working hard. But if I hope I could have that first create a very safe space for my nibblings, and second, be able to leave them wealth. For me, it's wealth. So I really get you, and I get your point. So basically for those people who are joining, we are talking about the topic of death, and this was triggered by New Year's Eve, where the first thought that came to mind was that my parents get to see another year, and considering that they are pretty, can I call them old? You know how we usually think 30 is old, and now you're at 30, you're thinking 40 is old, and then you'll get to 40, now you're like 50 is old. So yeah, my parents are old, and I thought, oh wow, they get to see 2025. That's a real blessing. And then it got me thinking also if we have, what is it called? Death wishes. So we've heard some people saying that like to be cremated. Some people would like their bodies to be, their body organs to be donated. some people are also thinking, what will I leave? What will I leave my family once I've gone? Will I leave them with enough? So that is something that we actively think about. I've thought about my death wish a lot. And I will say, for me, the one thing I'd want my ashes to be cremated. And this is the person who has said they want to have enough before they leave. For me, I want my body to be cremated and then the ashes be used to plant a tree, and if possible in the home that I will have bought. So I would want to die after I have a home. And I'm not Nairobian. When I say a home, I don't mean an apartment on the 12th floor. No. For me, a home is a compound with trees and grass. So if I will go when I already have a home, I would like for my ashes to be used to plant a tree, and most preferably a jacaranda tree. I know it takes about 10 years to mature, but I'd like to continue my afterlife as a tree in a compound where I basically invested to make a home. So that's where I'm at with my death wish. But also the conversation on if we ever think about our death came from a lot of moments when I've thought about death. And for me, I think even the other day someone was asking me, you like color a lot. I think even if you look at my house right now, there's so much color. There's so much color. And people tell me, you like color a lot. Like you're so, right now I'm obsessed with the luminous. Even when I was shopping for a car, I was like, I hope I get a luminous green or an orange. When I see color, I really love color and I gravitate towards color. And this shift to color happened a while back. So I'll give you the story of why I like color right now, and it's actually related to death. I was those girls for black, 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 black. I'm a black babe. I wear black. Everything I want is black. In fact, how I used to reason was when I finally get my house and I start furnishing my things, I'll paint my house black. I'll get furniture that's black. But at the time, I didn't know this, but I was extremely suicidal, and I wasn't in the space where I've invested in psychology knowledge as I have right now. So I was extremely suicidal. So after two suicide attempts, this is by taking off the counter medicine, overdose, I still woke up the next morning and I was like, what in the nonsense is this? You're a failure. You're a failure. So if if you've already failed in something, just accept you're here to stay, okay? And then the third incident was not my attempt per se, but it was an accident in the house. So I came back and then I think it was spaghetti. I put it on the stove. And I don't know me, it was such a bad moment. That was around 2016, 2017. It was such a horrible time in my life. And I put the spaghetti because I was supposed to eat. And then I went to sit on my bed, and that's how I slept. Me, I don't remember. So then I got woken up by noises, someone banging at my door. Oh, wake up, there's smoke from your house. I'm waking up, I'm dazed. I don't know what's happening. I went and opened the door. It's my neighbors. They're like, what is happening? There's smoke in your house. I'm like, oh, sorry, it was just food got burnt. So I don't know at what point the stove went off and the spaghetti was now ash on the sufuria, actual ash. And I remember going back to bed and I really didn't care. I was actually a zombie at the time. I really just didn't care. And I went back to my bed. I lied on my bed. And then I remember regretting so hard. I was so mad. I was so mad. I was just like, why didn't I die? Like the gas could have taken me peacefully, or I don't know, the smoke could have taken me peacefully. Why did I still survive? And after that, it was that was like the third closest thing to death. And I woke up that day and I remember I was so mad. And I was like, okay, I guess I do not have the courage to take myself to the next life. So in this life, I'm going to live. So I'm going to make sure I'm happy. I'm going to freaking make sure I am happy. So I cleaned up my house, tried to get the smoke smell away. I cleaned up my house. And after that, I started looking towards being happy. I started looking for happy things to just celebrate everything. And I went into the Lulu space where I would look for anything to celebrate. I am not going to be sad for shit. I didn't care. I just didn't want to be sad for anything. And that's when I realized, well, I didn't realize, but right now looking back is when I realized that's when the shift happened. I started liking color. When I started feeling happier, I started embracing color. And then when I got to the point, I think at around 28 years old is when I really tapped into like genuine happiness, where I am genuinely happy. I wake up happy, I go to bed happy. And from there on, it just became this obsession with actually bright colors. And I realized there was a correlation there with my happiness and bright colors. And since then, I've really, really just liked color. And so that's where I'm at with that's where I'm at with color. My story of how close I was to death and just being grateful for every year that I get to see. So every year I get to see, I'm like, okay, what do we have to celebrate? We look back to the previous year. What did we achieve in that year?
what could we possibly hold, what does this new year hold for us. And I've always been also a resolutions person. I don't know if anyone else is a resolutions person. I set resolutions because I have seen them work. And I think for something that I had to come to terms with is things like, let's say, death. What we're talking about in this particular episode is that there are things you can't plan for. So when you're planning some resolutions, and maybe some resolutions are like they involve a family or friends or particular people, and you can't plan around that because you don't know what will happen. But then you continue making the plans by faith. But at the end of the day, I really am someone who looks into resolutions. And even I think last year I was supposed to start drafting my death wish. I do not know the process. I'm supposed to research, but the death wish for me was basically to be cremated. My body used to plant a tree. So if that happens before I have my own home, then I'd like it to be planted in probably my parents' compound or my sister's compound, like a family that someone who will continue to cherish the tree, and most probably a jacaranda tree. So I'll ask you again if you have any death wishes, and if you ever think about death, and what about death fascinates you so much, and why do you think about death? In what sense do you think about death? Because as I said, this episode was inspired by the New Year's. When I saw the fireworks go up, I was like, oh, my parents get to see another year. And there are multiple situations where my dad has talked about death. And for him, he talks about it in such a confident, in such a confident manner. And he doesn't seem to be shaken by it. I think I find that very fascinating as well, just looking at him and being, especially those moments when the like he's been called with the news of death, and he's just so calm. I don't know. It's just something I think about a lot, and I've always wondered: is your death wish something you think about, or is it still a taboo? Do we still feel like when I talk about death, then I will have I will die? Do we still feel like that? And also like things around setting up your own death, like putting aside. I don't know what that thing is called in insurance, where you set aside money for your funeral. Is it the last wish, last something? Yeah, you set aside money for your funeral so that your family doesn't have to go through the struggle of looking for funds to bury you. And hey, Murioki, actually Murioki is here, and she triggers one of the episodes that we had in season 4, where we were talking about when mother left. If you recall that episode, or you want to go and check it out, the episode on when mother left, I realized that a lot of people actually think about death, and what Shiro Morioki here. What Shiro and was it Vicky? They were the guests on that episode. What they said was they actually planned out their children because of death of their mothers. So I think both of them, their mothers died. One died at 39, another one died at 40. So when they were talking about it, they actually said that they planned to have their children at a particular time. Like, I'll have my children at 2021. In case I die at 40, or in case I die at 39 like my mom, then my child will be of age. They won't have to go through the struggles of being bounced across families or relatives and all that. And I thought that was very interesting because that was something that I had never thought about. And now I'm wondering if actually people plan that when they are having children, when they are talking about, when they are basically thinking about where, I don't know if someone sent me, oh, do you want to join the live? Oh yeah, people who are planning, parents who are planning with their kids, so that if you get to a particular point, you have planned out your kids, so your kids are of age enough to be able to survive for themselves, so that you don't have to go through they don't have to go through some of the struggles that the people, at least Vicky and Shiro in that episode, described their struggles with living with step parents or living with relatives. So when I know it's wild to start the year with the topic of death, but here we are. Here we are. And that should be, I think that's all the thought I had around it. And I'm just thinking, if you have any other thoughts, you can share them with me, because this is actually live. And what we're planning to do for this season 5 is to go live on Mondays, hopefully at 6, every Monday, and that will be our podcast episode for the week. So then after this, we'll save it, and you can be able to access it where we have been accessing our podcasts every other time on our streaming sites. And that will be, and basically that will be the podcast. I'm still figuring out what we'll call our radio show in the morning. And someone is asking Gioni, oh, it's Morioki. No. It's in the morning, 6 a.m. Sorry, 6 a.m. Did I say p.m.? 6 a.m. So we'll be going live at 6 a.m. on Mondays, and that will be hopefully I was hoping that we do the show for 2 hours. So like a radio show in the morning, and that will be our radio show. If you have suggestions for what we can call our radio show, that would be really, really cute. And also, in Itwaje, Yeah, that for now. Wait, Vayo Akot says, your wishes are just like my man's. He wants to be cremated. His ashes used to plant an indigenous plant in his two homes. That is the compound, and the rest of the portion scattered in the Mara. Oh wow, in the Mara. Yay! Oh, that's really cute. That's really cute. I didn't know there are actually people like people who have the same wishes as me. I didn't know that. But that is so good. Yeah, I love that. Maybe yeah, I love that. As someone who really likes water, as someone who really likes water, I'd like for also my ashes, if they can be. Actually, if I would die in water, I'd be very grateful. I'd be very grateful. Water would be really, really nice. Water would be really, really nice. Mkasi Love is asking why. Watu wanaenda live kama tumelala. Si uamke uingie live. But the idea is to have it like a morning radio show, and then the episode will be saved for you to access it anytime later on. So that is the setup I'm going with. And yeah, you'll find it. Utaipata. But if you don't get it live, that's the thing. You will have to wait for the next day. So people who are not on the live, until Tuesday. Until Tuesday. I'm sorry, it's a lot to coordinate. This is my first time. Actually, you people know that I've never gone on live. I only go on live with people, like if I'm invited to go on live and speak about a particular topic. But I wanted to do this so that we have a radio show of sorts in the morning, and that will also be our podcast episode. And we're still like planning out a couple of things. And as I've said, our music is from Spotify. I don't know if you can hear it. It's still playing. Oh, it's Jack Franklin. That's really cute. I just have a playlist. If you don't know, we have a By Olive playlist. And if you don't know that, it means you have not bought anything from By Olive. But for now, I actually want to close the live. This is our first episode. It was at Trials X, but I think the topic was very much worth talking about, and we'll get more guests as time goes by. I mean, if you want to be a guest here, I'll put out the topics that we'll be discussing earlier on. If you want to be a guest, I'll tell you early enough. Make sure you're up by 6 or 7. Maybe I'll do for guests at around 7. Okay, okay. 7 is good. Yeah, so then you can come on. Um, Murioki, you're saying I'm at work in the office. You are keeping me company. Oh, that's exactly what I wanted to do. I actually wanted this to be a thing that you can use on your commute. So a lot of people I know, you're headed to work at around 6 to 8. So that's what my intention was, to be your voice for radio for whatever in the morning. So as you just get on with the day, because we'll also have music breaks, we'll have Kidogo music. So I'll introduce you to some of the artists that we have. For now, I have Nasibi. I think I talked about Nasibi a while back. Bayo, you're saying dying in water is painful and scary. And it's different for different people. I find water very comforting, and I know some people water is very scary. So all of us, isn't it? All of us would really like to die peacefully in our sleep, right. But if we could choose, I guess we'd being for me in water would be really good. I know the hassle that could be there before you actually take your last breath, but I think water would be extremely peaceful for me. And I don't know if do we have mercy killing in Kenya, in case you have a chronic illness and your fate is already set. Then you can go in peace. And I think there's one of those Asian countries where you can actually be put in a tub of water, and then slowly they reduce the oxygen. I think they reduce the oxygen in the tub until finally there was no oxygen, or rather they introduce another gas that takes you slowly, like carbon monoxide. I don't know, but there's something like that that I saw some time back. Mkasi Love also says, for me, it's in prayer. I'd prefer dying in prayer. Oh wow, while praying? That's very interesting. Oh, that's very interesting. Oh wow, that is extremely. That's very. I feel like that's very peaceful. I'm very. It's not fascination. What do you call it? I I I, I find it beautiful for people who are connected to their bigger gods. What is it called? The powers without, the powers that are without, that are beyond us. Yeah, that's very beautiful, Nkasi. That's very beautiful. If also we could, all of us would. If also we could, all of us would. All those just joining the live right now, you don't get what is happening here. This is the In All Honesty podcast hosted by yours truly, Olive Orawo. but it also take the format of a sort of a radio show in the morning here on IG Live. And as we continue to structure the episode, it will include a little bit of music there, of course, our normal conversations. And today we were talking about, do you ever think about your death? Or rather, do you think about death in general and what it will look like? Some people have expressed that they'd like, they think about what people would, how life would continue without them after death. Some people have said they would like to die in particular ways. Some people would like their body organs donated. Some people, Mkasi, would like to die in prayer. Some people would like to their ashes scattered in the Mara or in special places. Some people, their ashes used to plant a tree. So at the end of the day, everyone has different wishes, and it is what it is. And I hope we all get it. Like we know it's a long shot, but if it happens for one of us, hallelujah, hallelujah. If it happens to you, you get to choose how you go. Yeah, we'll celebrate for that one person. Although we know it's something that we really cannot control. And also, do we get to the point where we talk about this confidently, or we still say it's a taboo? It's a taboo. We cannot talk about that. Talking about death then invites death. Yes, from the maker to talking to the maker. That is beautiful, Mkasi. But bully. But Bully 12 is asking, what's yours? I already said what mine is. So you'll find this podcast episode later on your streaming sites where you find your podcast. And I said mine is to be cremated, and the ashes used to plant a tree in my compound. So hopefully I die after I have bought a home. And as I have said, I am not Nairobian. A home is not an apartment. A home is a compound with trees and grass. So that is mine. And also, if I could die in water, that would be really, really beautiful. Oh, can you burn waters already? Or they'll have to dry your body. If you've died in water, they have to dry your body first before they burn it. I think I'll now put this to a close. This has been our first episode. And thank you so much for everyone who joined. I didn't even expect people to join at this time. I thought that people would be at work at this time. But as I said, from next week, we'll start doing every Monday at 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. That is 2 hours. We'll do it in the format of a radio show here on IG Live, and then you can be able to access the podcast episode later on where you usually stream your podcasts, and that is the next day. So if you miss the live, okay, Pola 24 hours until the next day when you can now get the full episode. But for now, thank you so much for joining me. I'll read the last comments before I go. Something interesting about cremation. The bones dry, alafu they grind them into powder. Oh, okay. Where does the skin go? Where does the outside go? It's only the bones, or everything burns to. Do we turn to ash? I've never even seen someone getting burnt. I don't know. Oh, so that's what. So the bones are dried, and then that's what they crush. Oh, so the bones don't turn to ash like the way charcoal turns to ash. Oh, that's interesting. I think I'll also do some research on how I think I'll do some research on how cremation works. But for now, let me close this podcast episode, this live. Thank you so much for joining. And until next Monday, this has been a beautiful, beautiful time to hang out with you. And the discussion on death, maybe we'll pick it up again. So now in a lengthy way, maybe we bring on someone who has dealt with death, maybe a mortician, maybe a cremator, and they tell us what it looks like. And also we might get some more, what is it called? We might get some more feedback from you guys on what your death wish is and what you feel like, or rather what you feel like about talking about death. I think it's about time we got comfortable with it, because I realized when you get comfortable with something, it actually becomes one less thing to worry about. Because I think like when death is something that we fear so much, we talk about it so much, you think about it a lot. But when this is something you've accepted and you move on with, you plan around it and you move on with, it's one less thing to think about. So thank you so much. Thank you, Morioki, for joining. Thank you to everyone who joined. Just the last people here I see is Lucia Now Quiri one. Not me reading African names like a Mzungu. Shiko Chege. Shiko Chege, thank you so, so much for joining. It will be better structured next week. I promise. It will be better structured next week. But until next time, continue having a lovely day. I'll leave you with one artist that you can discover from Nigeria. His name is Monrovia. And this is City on a Hill. Bye.
Cried yourself to sleep. I know, lonely under these sheets. 'Cause you tried to make yourself seen through a field of green, but it's overgrown.